What is up, everybody? So, with the Eldritch Moon release, there were a lot of cards that made it into a lot of my commander decks. Um, as I record these gameplay videos, I like for you to care about my commanders. Like when we play Breon WrestleMania, I want you to feel like you're in the stadium cheering them on. When I play Church of Athreos, I want you to feel like you're a proud, sacrificing parishioner of the Church of Athreos. So, it's to me when I play commander, it's more than just the game itself. I like to add a little bit of flavor to it, and doing something like this Eldritch Moon card edition updates is a fun way for you to see these decks progress as these sets get released in the future. So, this is not necessarily the top 10 powerful cards from Eldritch Moon. This is just housekeeping cards that are getting added to my commander decks. So, first thing up, we have Crypt Breaker. Crypt Breaker, colorless black. Discard a card, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. Then you can tap 3 untapped zombies you control, draw a card, and lose a life. So, this is going in Grimgrin Zombie Circus, Gissun Giraffe, and Sidisi Wicked Witch. Now, let's start with Crypt Breaker. That first activated ability, really good. So as far as Grimgrin goes, we can say we need to get something in the graveyard. It's good to do that. But mainly, getting that 2/2 black zombie creature token provides a sack outlet for Grimgrin. Very good. So we can untap him. He can swing in, destroy target creature, and then also, if we need to put a card in the graveyard. Now, as far as Gissun Giraffe goes, it really pulls in double work because we can discard a card if we're pitching a zombie, then we get a 2/2 black zombie, then we can cast it from the graveyard from Gissun Giraffe. So, Crypt Breaker has definitely earned a spot in Gissun Giraffe and Zombie Circus. Now, as far as Sidisi Wicked Witch goes, if we need to discard something, we can. But as far as tap 3 untapped zombie creatures you control, draw a card and lose a life, we get a lot of zombie tokens out with Sidisi. So, it's a way for us to kind of turn those zombies into a card drawing engine. I don't really have any combos set up with it. It's just purely a value. Now, as far as a zombie card, when I first got into Magic, my favorite tribe was definitely zombie. And for them to print such a low-costed, only cost 1 black, a low-costed zombie card that has 2 activated abilities, it's just really cool. I mean, both of them are really, I would play this card if it was just this one or just that activated ability. The fact that it has both of them on there, really good card. It's probably my favorite card from Eldritch Moon. Next card we have is Curious Homunculus. Add a colorless to your mana pool. Spend this mana to only cast an instant or sorcery spell. Then at the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 3 or more instant or sorcery cards in your graveyard, transform Curious Homunculus. Transforms into Vicarious Reader. Prowess, instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. So this is going in my Nin Dr. Feelgood deck. It's definitely earned its spot in there because it's really hard in blue to find, a little bit of mana ramp. With Nin Dr. Feelgood, we're trying to ramp into a bunch of fun spells. So this is perfect for the deck. And then when it flips, it doesn't lose that mana ability. It just gains it in a different form because your spells cost 1 less. So effectively, it just replaces itself with a 3/4 prowess body. So if we're going off with a bunch of spells, we can get those prowess triggers going. Definitely earned a spot in that deck. Next up, we have Decimator of Provinces. Emerge for 9. Whenever you cast Decimator of Provinces, creatures you control gain +2/+2 and gain trample until end of turn. Then it also has trample and haste itself. So this is going in Omnath Road Rage, Karametra Hive Queen, and Omnath Party Bears. All 3 of these decks right here are my Craterhoof decks. That's where we're running out a bunch of little creatures, and our main win condition isn't Craterhoof. It just Craterhoof really, really helps the deck perform. So Decimator of Provinces is almost kind of like a Craterhoof light type deck. So if you don't have Craterhoof, you can definitely run Decimator of Provinces in one of your decks. It's a really good card. You're probably looking for around 5 creatures to get Decimator Provinces out, maybe like the 6th creature being the one you sacrifice. But coming in with Trample Haste, it's a 7/7 body, granting +2 and gaining Trample. Yeah, really good card to have. Omnath, we have the Elemental, so it'll combo with that. Karametra, we have a bunch of little insects. The Omnath Party Bears. Those bears like to party, man, so they're happy to bring anybody into the party. So we've got, up next, Extractor of Sin. When Extractor of Sin enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice another permanent. If you do, put a 3/2 colorless Eldrazi Horror token onto the battlefield. Then if you achieve Delirium, it transforms into Extractor of Flesh. Eldrazi you control have Vigilance. Pay 2, sack a non-Eldrazi creature, put a 3/2 colorless Eldrazi token on the battlefield. This is going into my Church of Athreos deck. The main thing that this is mainly popped out is its Human Cleric. So in my Church of Athreos deck, we're running Cleric Tribe, we're running Black-White Aristocrats, and we're also running Reanimator on Demon. Now, as far as the Church of Athreos goes, we have Atherid Necromancer and Rotlung Reanimator. So with the Necromancer, whenever a human dies, we get a 2/2 zombie, and with Rotlung Reanimator, whenever a Cleric dies, we get a 2/2 zombie. So as far as Church of Athreos goes, if you can ever find a human cleric that does something when it comes into the battlefield or has a sack outlet, it's almost just an auto-include in this deck. And so as soon as I saw him come across on the spoiler page, I was like, oh yeah, I'm finding a spot for him for sure. But yeah, it's that human cleric, so whenever we sack human or cleric, we get those 2 zombies from the Necromancer and the Reanimator. And then, it's an activated 2 to sacrifice a creature, but like I said, if we have the Necromancer or the Reanimator on the battlefield, paying 2 to sack another human cleric or a human cleric, getting an Eldrazi token. We're not running any Eldrazi in Church of Athreos, but yeah, it's a really good card. So, Extractor of Sin. Welcome to the Church of Athreos, buddy. Alright, next we have Fortune's Favor. Target opponent looks at the top 4 cards of your library and separates them into a face-down pile and a face-up pile. Put one pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. Now, Fact or Fiction is a better card than this. You get to look at 5 cards, you get to see both piles, but part of that, to me, when I play Commanders, I like to have fun. And I just love the dynamic of having one face-down pile and one face-up pile. Like, you probably should run Fact or Fiction, but I'm not. I'm going to run Fortune's Favor. I really enjoy, like, this puts you in a weird dynamic. So let's say your opponent puts one really good card face down and 3 good cards. I mean, like, I don't know. I'm almost always tempted to take the closed box right there. It sounds good. As far as Nan Doctor feels good, let's say we flip 4. There's 3 that are good. One of our win condition is Mizzix's Mastery overloading our graveyard. So even if it hits, like our good stuff hits the graveyard, we're okay. Same thing with Sidisi Wicked Witch. We're just looking to have some stuff in the graveyard. Same thing with Gissun Giralf. We're just looking for zombies in the graveyard. So there's better cards than Fortune's Favor out there, but to me, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy it. Alright, so next card we've got is Graph Harvest. Zombies you control have menace, then for 4, exile a creature card from your graveyard, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token on the battlefield. It only costs 1, and in granting your zombies menace where they can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures is really good. It synergizes with Grimgrin, because whenever it can attack, it can't be blocked by 2 or more creatures, and then we have the destruction ability whenever Grimgrin attacks, so that's really good in Grimgrin deck. As far as Gissun Giralf, we're casting zombies out of the graveyard, kind of building up a zombie army. Just granting them menace is really good. And the same thing with Sidisi Wicked Witch. We're getting a lot of zombie tokens out, and especially if we have Wonder in the graveyard, have them flying. So even if our opponent does have a creature with flying or reach, simply granting a bunch of flying zombies menace is more than enough to close the game out. And then just as an added bonus, the 4 activated ability, exile a creature card from your graveyard, put a 2/2 black zombie. So, I mean, I would play the card just straight up, just costing 1, zombies you control have menace, just because it's such an impact when you're getting a huge zombie army out. And the last ability is just an added bonus. So next one we have Grapple with the Past. This probably had the most impact across all my commander decks. Put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard, then you may return a creature or land from your graveyard to your hand. As far as this card goes, it's good early game, it's good mid game, it's good late game, because you put the top 3 cards of your library, then you may return a creature or land. So let's say it's late game and we need to return a creature that got destroyed, or there's a certain utility land that we need. So really, it's just good at any point in the game, even early on, to achieve Delirium. And as far as Gitrog goes, we're sacking lands with Gitrog, so it allows us to, first of all, it hits Gitrog with the card draw. Then it allows us to return a land back to our hand to refuel on his upkeep abilities. And let's say we lose one of our Enchantress pieces to a destruction spell or something, we can turn it back to our hand. As far as Yishkana goes, it allows us to hit Delirium early and bring a land back. Mimeoplasm, we're looking for anything just to get cards into the graveyard that give us just a little bit of value. So let's say we mill an Ancient Tomb, so we can still mill, grab an Ancient Tomb back to our hand. Same thing with Sidisi, it's just a value card in there if we need to return a certain zombie card back to our hand. Overall, this card went into the most decks in all of my commander decks, really good card. Next we have Identity Thief. It's only going in my Mimeoplasm deck, so whenever it attacks you may exile another target non-token creature. If you do, Identity Thief becomes a copy of that creature until end of turn. This is kind of like a it's just on a temporary basis of Mimeoplasm. So I'm always looking for fun Mimeoplasm targets to reanimate as. And so it's just, I don't know, there's something about reanimating Identity Thief with a bunch of counters and then being able to attack and exile another one and have it become a copy of that. Like, I don't know, it's just, I feel that it fits the flavor of Mimeoplasm, and, if our opponent's doing something crazy, I don't know, it's just a fun card. Definitely, it's on the short list. If there's a new creature that comes out I'll make room for it by cutting Identity Thief, but, if you're running Mimeoplasm as a toolbox reanimator spell deck, pretty cool to have in there. Next card we have is Laboratory Brute. When it enters the battlefield, put the top 4 cards of your library into your graveyard. This is pretty much just going in Gissun Giralf. It's a 3/3 zombie body that really pumps well with Zombie Lord. So if you get a Zombie Lord, a couple Zombie Lords out there, it's a 4/4, 5/5, and on top of that you get to mill 4. So really good card. You know, nothing too crazy about it. It's just a 3/3 zombie body. Next we have Lupine Prototype. It can't attack or block unless the player has no cards in it. This is going in my Breon WrestleMania. Oh yeah. Sorry, I look for any excuse to use this Randy Macho Man Savage image. So as far as this goes with Breon, we're looking for low-costed creatures. Check. Cost 2. High power toughness. 5/5. Check. So, you know, we're not going to be attacking with it. If our opponent has no cards in hand, then we can swing it with it. But mainly it's in here just for the 5/5 body, so we can activate Breon and Rey Mysterio 619, throw this wolf construct into our opponent's face. Really cool right there. Alright. Next we have Selfless Spirit. Excuse me. So this is going in our Church of Athreos deck. Flying, sacrifice it. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. So it's going in our Church of Athreos deck just because it is a cleric, but it also grants us the ability to make all of our creatures indestructible. Nothing too crazy with this card right here. It replaced, I can't remember, but it's the Frontline Medic. Replace Frontline Medic. It costs 1 less, and with the sacrificing ability to gain all of our creatures indestructible, you can survive a board wipe. I may try this out in some of my other white decks, maybe my Karametra, but as far as right now goes, the main thing is it's a cleric and it provides indestructible for your entire board, and it's a sack outlet. So let's say there's a Path to Exile being cast or exile target creature, we can sacrifice it in response. Alright, next card. We've got Soul Separator. 5 mana. Exile target creature card from your graveyard. Put a token onto the battlefield that's a copy of that card, except it's a 1/1 spirit in addition to its other types. And it has flying. Then put a black zombie creature token onto the battlefield with power equal to that card's power and toughness equal to that card's toughness. So basically, like you get a copy of the card, and then you get a zombie that's equal to its power and toughness. Definitely going into Mimeoplasm because we have a few targets that we can get out there. Say we have a Lord of the Void. It can swing in the air, get that Lord of the Void trigger, and then we get a 7/7 zombie. Same thing with Gissinger Ralph. You know, we're getting, say we can Soul Separate a Zombie Lord, still get that bonus, and then get the 3/3, not the 3/3. Oh, I know it, Gissinger Ralph. So say we Soul Separate on Gringrin. So we're going to have the Gringrin sack outlet ability and the attack ability. Then at the same time, we get that 5/5 zombie body. So definitely a really fun card to play around with. It's kind of on the short list, but it's definitely a fun card. You know, it's really cool that they printed a wall of text. You know, when you see a wall of text, usually you see some of those earlier cards that are like, man, what were they thinking? But so in a new set, for them to print a wall of text, it's a really unique ability. Excited to play with it. I've always had fun every time I get to cast it. Splendid Reclamation. Return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Now, this is a really cool card. I was really surprised that Wizards printed this. When I saw it, I was like, dude, what? That seems kind of busted. You know, as far as Gitrog goes, we're sacking a land, so we're getting a lot of lands in the graveyard. We're purposely, cracking fetches to get that card draw from Gitrog. So as far as Gitrog goes, this is pretty much like an auto-include in any Gitrog deck that you're building. Same thing with Mimeoplasm. Mimeoplasm, we're trying to mill a bunch of cards, so having access to Splendid Reclamation allows us to kind of ramp in a weird way, graveyard ramp in a way. And the same thing with Sidisi Wicked Witch. You know, we're dumping cards in the graveyard, so I don't know. It's just I saw it spoiled, and it was just kind of like, seems pretty powerful for Commander. I was really happy that they printed it. So it's definitely just auto-include in any type of graveyard deck that you're running. Next card is Wailing Ghoul. Nothing too special here. It's mainly a 1/3 body. Put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. It replaces the blue Innistrad zombie where it's a 2/1. I just like having access to the 1/3, and especially with the Zombie Lord. It's just in here, just a little bit of housekeeping on that one. And honorable mention, Liliana, the Last Hope. Up to one target creature gets -2/-1 until your next turn. Put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. Then you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Now the ultimate, you get an emblem with at the beginning of your end step, put X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is 2 plus the number of zombie creatures you control. This is not going into my zombie decks just because it's $40 and 50 tickets. So if it was cheaper, I would definitely put it into all of my zombie decks, and maybe when it rotates, if it lowers down, I'll probably pick it up. But I just wanted to mention that, like, how cool of a card the Ultimate is as far as getting zombies out. So if you're lucky enough to have one, maybe you opened up in a pre-release pack or you've bought into it, awesome Commander card to put in there. If it wasn't so expensive, I would definitely be putting it in all my zombie creature decks. Alright guys, so this is my first time doing a video like this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed it, like and subscribe. Thanks guys.